Hey everyone, and welcome to WDIM Plus, where today I'll be breaking down the 7th episode of the Dexter New Blood miniseries titled Skin of Her Teeth. This episode really felt like a classic Dexter episode, in which it looks like the main villain of the season will be caught red-handed, only for them to pull some kind of end around on the police and Dexter. We also learned something startling about Harrison and his memories of his time with Dexter, and I will go over that shocking revelation, which includes another guest star from Dexter's past, and more here. But first, thank you for clicking on this video, and if you do enjoy it, all that I ask is that you hit that like button so my videos can reach more people. Also, I am very happy that so many of you are coming back each week for these videos, but if you do, please hit that subscribe button while you are here. It helps you by letting you know when my videos come out, and it also helps my channel grow. The title of the episode is a reference to the event that fuels the forward momentum of the overall narrative, which is that Dexter is able to find a piece of skin in the teeth of the corpse of Angela's friend Iris. But it could be a reference to how close Molly Park came to becoming another one of Kirk's victims at the end of last episode, and from the looks of it, he may not be done with her just yet. We begin right where the last episode left off, with Dexter coming to help Angela after she found a dead body in the caves, which by the bracelet she was able to identify as her lost friend Iris. Angela is now fully aware that Jim is Dexter Morgan, thanks to her putting the pieces together a couple episodes ago. Dexter falls right back into his old habits, and is able to describe the scene and put together what happened to Iris. Angela believes that Kurt is the killer since he called off the search for her son the night before the caves were scheduled to be searched. Dexter is able to determine that Iris was shot in the back, which matches the ritual that we have seen Kurt follow throughout the season. After Dexter discovers the skin caught in Iris's teeth, Angela takes it for a DNA sample. Luckily, when Matt went missing, the police were able to get a sample of Kurt's DNA, which Angela is able to match the sample found at the scene. After Angela informs Iris's family that she has been found, Dexter makes breakfast for Harrison at his cabin. He is still unable to connect with his son, who seems to be drifting further away, which in part is thanks to Kurt. Harrison also states that he has his first shift at Kurt's truck stop today as well, which Dexter is not a fan of. Deb tries to convince Dexter to kill Kurt, but Dexter realizes that this will have an effect on Harrison. He knows that if Kurt goes missing and Harrison never learns who he is, that it will bother Harrison all of his life. Usually when Dexter kills someone, he makes sure no one finds them, but he has made similar concessions in the past, such as when he left Miguel Prado's body to be found and then pointed the police towards another killer, knowing that Miguel's brother would never stop looking for him if he went missing during the show's 3rd season. Dexter wants to let Angela and the police handle Kurt, but Deb not so subtly reminds Dexter that that is how she got killed in the last season of the show. Deborah was shot and killed by a serial killer named Oliver Saxon, who was also known as the brain surgeon, after Dexter allowed him to live and left him to be arrested. He was able to escape from his restraints and got a shot off in Deb's abdomen, which eventually led to her death. To help Angela, Dexter tells her about the cabin that he found while following Matt and Kurt. When they arrive, they realize that Kurt has stripped the cabin of everything, covering up any evidence there. Harrison gets ready for his first day at work and puts on an outfit that is eerily similar to the one that Dexter would wear when he and his dark passenger went to work. Dexter thinks to himself about how fatherhood has turned him from a predator into a protector. I think that this is not only a comment about him, but also about his own father, Harry. Harry was a police officer that was trained to hunt down men like Dexter, but as soon as Harry saw Dexter as his son, he did whatever he could to protect him, which turned Dexter into the very thing anyone in law enforcement fears the most, an efficient serial killer. Harrison isn't happy about Dexter being at the truck stop, but that doesn't stop Dexter from feeling like he needs to protect him. Just as Harrison leaves, Kurt sits down with Dexter. Kurt is obviously aware of the strain he is putting on Dexter and Harrison's relationship, and he is using it to antagonize Dexter. In turn, Dexter uses Kurt's own missing son as leverage against him, which he will learn later on in the episode was probably not the best idea. Kurt alludes to this as he states that he thinks it was fate that Dexter picked him up the night Dexter disposed of Matt's body. After Kurt is arrested, Molly arrives at the police station, but Angela wants nothing to do with her after learning that Molly talked to Kurt after Angela asked her not to. Besides Molly, Dexter also wants to be involved in the investigation, and he texts Angela asking for an update. Dexter is used to being part of the investigation as a forensic specialist, but now he's reserved to waiting for information just like everyone else, as he says, in the cheap seats. Angela interrogates Kurt, who at first denies knowing what happened with Iris. Kurt is also forced to answer questions about his communications with Matt, and it is obvious that Angela knows that Kurt did not speak with his son. When she reveals that they have a DNA match between the evidence at the scene and the DNA swab that Kurt gave them during their search for Matt, Kurt lawyers up. At the truck stop, Harrison is working on a truck when the driver asks him to help him with some cargo. If you recall, this is the same man that posed as Matt Caldwell in New York. He hands Harrison an envelope that he says is for his dad. Since this is occurring shortly after Kurt got arrested, it means that either Kurt put this in motion first, or he gave the envelope to this man with instructions to give it to Harrison if he was ever arrested. Because as we learn later on, this puts Kurt on Dexter's radar and lets him know that he is also on Kurt's. Back at his cabin, Harrison hands Dexter the envelope that contains the titanium pin. Dexter then creates a distraction and is able to talk to Kurt while he is in jail. Seeing Clancy Brown behind bars, I couldn't help but think of one of my favorite roles that he has played, and that is Captain Byron Hadley from the movie Shawshank Redemption. The role is probably the most well-known of his long career, which is now going on 40 years, but to me, he will always be the Kurgan. Dexter warns Kurt to stay away from Harrison, but Kurt does not seem fazed. Through their conversation, Kurt indirectly reveals that the titanium pin that he gave him is from his son Matt, and because titanium does not melt, it was left behind when Dexter disposed of his son. If you recall, Matt sustained an injury in the boat accident that landed him on Dexter's table to begin with, and this pin was put in his leg after the accident. Besides revealing that Kurt knows that Dexter killed his son, this may also reveal that Kurt knew about it when it happened, and was even happy about it. Matt was obviously not very fond of his father either, as he confessed to as much on Dexter's table, but it almost seems like at first Kurt was happy that Dexter killed Matt and removed him as a problem. This may be what Kurt is suggesting when he professes to Dexter that there was a time that he thought they would be good friends. On the other hand, if Kurt is not happy about what happened with Matt, then him driving a stake between Harrison and Dexter makes a lot of sense. It appears that this season is moving towards an endgame where Harrison will have to choose between Kurt and Dexter. But let me know in the comments, how do you think this will end between Kurt and Dexter? At the police station, Kurt wishes to make a statement about the events that involve Iris. He admits that his father was abusive and puts him at the scene with Iris, knowing that their DNA would be a match. Since his father is dead, there is no one to prosecute. But through what appears to be an actual memory of the events, we see that it was Kurt who shot and killed Iris. Much like the scenario that he has built around this, he does seem to try and be nice to Iris before he kills her and even tries to drive her home. But after she refuses and runs off, he shoots her in the back. We also learn that he listens to the song Runaway because it reminds him of his time spent with his abusive father. This is why he became so incensed with Chloe, his latest victim, because she did not allow him to finish his ritual. Kurt is released from jail after the evidence is considered circumstantial. At the truck stop, Dexter drops Harrison off at work and breaks into Kurt's office. He finds a check for a man named Elric Kane. This is probably the man that we have seen working for him, but this may also be a reference to a filmmaker who is known for horror films and his association with Fangora. Back in town, Molly finds Angela at a bar and discusses the events at the cabin. Molly reveals that she was freaked out by Kurt, but also that even though Dexter, who she knows as Jim, helped her and possibly saved her life, that he also gave her bad vibes. When Angela tells her what Dexter told her about what happened, Molly reveals that it could not be true and it is possible Dexter is hiding something. We also see that Kurt is stalking Molly, so between this and her starting to take notice of Dexter, it does not look good for Molly over the next few episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if Angela ends up asking Molly to look into Dexter and she discovers who he really is just as Kurt catches up with her. Back at the truck stop, Harrison is cornered by some kids from the school that he wrestled against and attacks them with a razor. Dexter is able to stop him, but Harrison still wants nothing to do with him. Harrison reveals that he has had nightmares all of his life, and after listening to Molly's podcast, he realized that he is dreaming about his experiences with the Trinity Killer. In a brand new scene filmed for this miniseries, John Lithgow returns as Arthur Mitchell, and we see from Harrison's perspective what he saw when his mother was killed. This proves that Harrison was born in blood, just as Dexter has always feared, and this experience has changed him for the rest of his life. Understanding how similar this makes him and his son, Dexter resolves to tell Harrison everything about himself, just as he is attacked by the man that works for Kurt. In fact, the check that we saw earlier for $5,000 may be payment for this attack. Now, this guy does get the jump on Dexter, but back in the day, Dexter was a total badass that trained in self-defense and was able to get the upper hand on James Dokes, a former member of the US Special Forces. So I think that Dexter will be able to take this guy out anyways, and he may end up on Dexter's table once the next episode begins. Well, that was everything I saw, but let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please hit that like button if you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?